Hello and welcome to Chapter 9, Data Warehousing. Definitely one of my favorite topics. Data warehousing has become such a huge part of today's data environment. And one of the reasons I really like this topic is because there are so many jobs associated with data warehousing. There are so few people that know how to do this. I've said in previous videos, simply, the fact that there are so many people that are simply afraid of databases. They're afraid of damaging data. They're afraid of SQL. And when I say afraid of it, they're just not interested, whatever, whole populations of people. So the fact that you are getting involved in databases puts you in a very small subset of the population. And then if you learn what data warehousing is all about and the skills associated with data warehousing and get good at this, you're in a very, very small subset of the population. But data warehousing has become a crucial part of today's business environment. You've heard about big data, I've spoken about how we are drowning in data from, the cash registers at supermarkets gathering data, to your smartphones gathering data, to traffic cameras, to satellites, to smartphones, to tracking, to Facebook. The amount of data that is floating around out there that businesses are challenged to try to assimilate and gather up and analyze for competitive advantage is huge. The demand is huge. The challenges are huge. The skill set is varied. You need to know so many different things to get involved in data warehousing, but with data warehousing has come into being simply because there is so much data out there that needs to be handled. So why data warehousing? What basically is happening is that we've spoken about when talking about SQL, that you have to try to get more and more efficient with your queries so that your queries don't take 5 minutes to run. You can imagine when you're trying to do analytical type of analysis on very, very large data sets, we're talking millions and millions of records, when you're trying to look at average sales for a particular quarter in a particular region spanning the past 20 years, you can imagine that if you're going back to your what we're going to call your operational data, that's going to be a Herculean task. It's never going to happen fast enough. So data warehousing is the concept of trying to take your data out of your operational area. First of all, we don't want to put those kinds of stresses, those query stresses on the operational system, because it'll slow the operational system down. So we want to take our data out of there and remove it so we can analyze it. The good part about that is once we have it removed, it's read-only. We're not going to be updating it anymore. Think of it as snapshotting. All right, so I'm gonna take a snapshot of all my transactions from the previous day. Right, simplistic model. I'm running a business. At the end of the business day, for all intents and purposes, I've done with my transactions. I'm just going to take a snapshot of them. Obviously, they're going to be returns. There's going to be all sorts of things associated with changes in your data the next day and the following days. But let's keep this simple. So you take a snapshot of your data. Now, once you have that snapshot, you could also summarize that data. So then you're going to have what's known as your detail, right? All of your detailed transactional records, you're going to have a snapshot of. And then because you have that snapshot, and because that snapshot is read-only, you can now summarize that. You can start doing averages. You can start doing averages by region. You can start doing averages, maxes, mins, and again, to keep this simple, aggregated, you can start aggregating your data so that if you want to see the average over the past couple of weeks, instead of going back to your detailed data and trying to run your queries, you can simply go back to your aggregated data that you're storing, knowing that in the background you have your detail to explain where those averages came from. So that's the concept of data warehousing. What we're going to talk about in this chapter, again, we're going to define some terms. We used one of them already, your operational system. We're going to explore reasons for information gap between the information gap between information needs and availability. What information needs does your organization have, and what information is available to answer those needs. Just talked about reasons for the need for data warehousing. We're going to describe the 3 levels of a data warehouse architecture. We're going to describe the STAR schema, what's known as the STAR schema. And then we're going to talk about fact tables. We're going to talk about estimating their size. We're going to talk about data marts, which are subsets of data warehouses. And then we're going to develop requirements for data marts. So that's what we're going to get into with Chapter 9. Hope you enjoy this chapter as much as I'm going to enjoy putting the lectures together. And please take the subject matter of this chapter very, very seriously, because there is a lot of money to be made for people who are good at this subject. So that is the end of my Chapter 9 intro video lecture.